Welcome to In the Kitchen with Paul and Judy.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Judy. And we have a great recipe for you that we're very excited about. It's actually at the producing or the uploading of this video. It's very timely.
Yes.
Because we're going to show this to you before Thanksgiving, and it's sort of that perfect Thanksgiving side.
And for those of you that watch Sunday Fun Day with Paul and Judy, which is every Sunday at noon Eastern Time.
Yep. On Facebook.
People who watch this also watch on Facebook, and they said we want some ideas for sides for Thanksgiving.
So Brenda supplied this recipe, and it's called sweet potato souffle. And it's funny, I was talking to her between then and our actually recording of this video, and I said to her, we always love the honey baked ham, the honey baked ham sweet potato souffle. And I said, it's like dessert. And she said, I know, I did too. And this one was the only way that I could get my kids to learn how to like sweet potatoes. And now they ask for it every season. So we're going to attempt that. And as you know, we like to tell you everything that's going to be included in it and all that you're going to need, our mise en place. So let's start with the foundation of the sweet potato souffle, because there are two parts. There's the foundation, almost like a cake, and then the topping, like the icing. So in the sweet potato souffle, you're going to need, well, the main ingredient, of course, are your sweet potatoes. And she said 3 to 4. I thought these were pretty large. You're actually going to need 3 cups. So I figured probably 3 of that size is good. Then you need white sugar, and that's going to be a 1/2 cup of white sugar. You'll need 2 beaten eggs. You'll need salt, and that's a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You'll need a full stick of butter. Half of the butter is going to go in the souffle portion, and the other half is going to go in the topping portion. So 1 stick will do you for the whole recipe. You'll need milk, 1/2 cup of milk, and your choice of your skim, 1%, 2%, or whole. And then you'll need vanilla, and that'll be 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So those are the ingredients for the main portion of the souffle. Then when it gets to the topping, you're going to need these ingredients. So have everything you need before you start. So you'll need 1/2 cup of brown sugar. You'll need chopped pecans, and the amount is 3/4 cup. We actually bought 2 of these just in case when I start chopping I end up with too few. You'll need 1/2 cup of flour, and then remember that that's when the other half of that stick of butter comes in. As far as all of the things for your measuring, you're going to need a 9x9 or 2-quart baking dish. You'll need a large mixing bowl. That's the largest we have, so that'll have to do.
Right.
You'll need this for melting the butter, so that'll be something on stovetop. You'll need a large pan because you're also going to be boiling the sweet potatoes before you then chop and dice those.
You will also need to peel said potatoes.
Okay.
You said something about beating eggs, which is why I went behind you and grabbed this, because I
Great.
did not have one of those out.
Good job.
You have your paring knife.
Yep.
I have my little handy chopping knife. And you can mash it the old-fashioned way, but since I spent so much of my energy stirring the risotto, I'm going to have our KitchenAid mixer.
Okay, very good. So we'll tell you all about that. And before we get everything underway, we're going to measure all the ingredients, and we'll also peel the potatoes because that's kind of time consuming. And then we'll get back to the chopping, the mixing, the blending.
Okay.
Okay? All right, sounds good. We are ready to continue. But first things first.
First things first. Tradition.
This time, check out these fancy smancy glasses.
It's the only way that I will have all this.
I know, because see, look at the design. Now, of course, there's a half-eaten olive in there, which is my fault.
There's a story behind all of this.
The martinis that we like? And we should have Frank Sinatra playing in the background.
But we can't, because then they would mute the Hirosetsu's back here, so
Okay.
Paul doesn't spill it. No, I was coming back from getting some of the ingredients. I was listening to Frank Sinatra, and I thought, why don't we have martinis?
Haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
By the way, you've peeled.
I peeled some of them.
And you've chopped.
I chopped.
So while he chops the third and final yam or sweet potato. I'm not sure which is which.
I think it's fancier to call it a yam, but I'm pretty sure they're the same thing.
But while he's doing that, I figure I might ask you if you would do us a favor, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button below the video. It does us, helps us kind of move up in the ranks of the cooking videos, and more importantly, it encourages us to keep doing these because we have an awfully good time, but we love to know that you're out there, you're watching, you're getting something from them, and you're enjoying them. And if you can do the little thumbs up, click the thumbs up, that would be great too.
Now, what's the temperature I need to start
Okay,
the oven?
so 350 is where we want to start the oven. And what we're also going to do is take and cut the sweet potatoes cubed and diced, and then we're throwing them in a pot of boiling water. So you're going to soften them for about 15 to 20 minutes or so on the stovetop. While we're doing that, I'm going to also melt the butter, because remember, half of that butter stick is going to go in the filling, which is the souffle itself. And then Paul talked about mashing the traditional way, which obviously you can do in a large bowl. We're going to use the mixer, and we're just going to put the heated sweet potatoes into the mixer and then add the milk, the sugar, the vanilla, the salt, and the butter. And I think we're also adding the eggs at that point. Yes, the eggs as well.
Incidentally, one of the side dishes I make for Thanksgiving frequently are the mashed potatoes, using that same mixer that you see behind us. And I do the same thing. I kind of quarter the potatoes. I don't really call them cubing them, but I quarter them. I could probably make some of these a little bit smaller too. And it does a couple of things. It means that you have to spend less time waiting for them to get the soft consistency that you want. Well, this is all ready to go in here. I have the water boiling as we speak already.
All right. And then I'll also whisk these eggs. Remember, you need 2, but they need to be beaten before they go into the mixture with the sweet potatoes and the other ingredients for the souffle. So we'll beat those first. We'll let the yams / sweet potatoes, we'll figure out the difference in the meantime, cook for that 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll add them all together, and then we'll mix the topping that incorporates in the pecans.
So I'm going to turn this up to bring this back to the boil,
Okay.
and then we will simmer for 20 minutes.
Good. I'm going to get that butter done way too quickly, but anyway, it'll be ready to go. So it's been 20 minutes that we've been letting the sweet potatoes, the raw sweet potatoes, boil, and they were, of course, cubed first. Ooh, I can see that steam.
Yeah.
So you decided to go the full 20.
I'm getting a facial.
The full 20 minutes
I
instead of
did.
just 15.
And you want to explain why?
Yeah. Well, neither of us knew how to buy sweet potatoes, and I said to Paul, here I am in the sweet potato aisle, because I've never made a sweet potato souffle, and they were very, very hard.
Yeah.
So you sort of said the same thing, that when you were cutting them.
Correct.
What?
I said correct.
No, I mean, well, what he told me is that I saw that when I was cutting them, they were so hard that maybe they weren't as ripe as you can buy some sweet potatoes. So he decided to leave it the full 20 minutes on the stove. So just bring the bowl over, and we'll go ahead and put the sweet potatoes in there, and then we'll also combine the sugar, the milk, the melted butter, and then also the vanilla.
Well,
and
actually,
the
I'm going to
salt.
have to add these here so I don't drip.
Okay. Should have gotten out of the way, because that was kind of a nice shot.
I think that's going to be very good.
Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so for the sweet potatoes, we did everything, and 15 to 20. Okay, so actually now you're supposed to mash them. Oh, that goes in with it. We're letting the blender do it. We're not doing that by hand.
Right.
All right, so we're going to
Here,
add.
let me get this closer to you.
Okay, so we're going to add the butter, the melted butter. Yep. We're going to add the sugar that's been pre-measured. We're going to add the milk, which is the half a cup.
Just so you know, we used 1%. Not that it matters, but
I told them, yeah, it's your choice of that. Okay, so now the vanilla needs to be measured. Oops, sorry, that was very loud. Actually, because it also takes salt, I'm going to do the dry first. And as I recall, it was a half a teaspoon of salt. All right, there's my half teaspoon. No, that's 1, so there's half. And you know how we are. We usually use the grinder, so I'm going to go ahead and do it the traditional way this time.
Perfect.
It was mounded. Not supposed to be mounded. All right, so there's that. The eggs are supposed to go in here too.
Right.
Sweet potatoes, milk, sugar, butter, vanilla, salt, and eggs. Yes, there you go. So that's the last of the ingredients.
I'm going to get your spatula.
I have one, sweetie.
Okay.
Yep, I'll do my thing. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So after that's blended, go right ahead. I will prepare the baking dish, which you can use regular butter, which is what Brenda recommended. I'm just going to kind of cheat and use the pan spray. So that'll be ready to go. And then we'll make the topping. I don't know whether I closed it or opened it. There we go. Okay, so that's ready to go. Salt is done. Vanilla is done. This butter is for the topping. So what I think I can do now, let's see if what we're going to do is combine everything. Yes, so right now we're going to combine the brown sugar.
Is that too loud?
What? No, it's actually perfect. No, it's great. Okay, then the other butter. Yep, the other butter. The flour, which always makes a mess when it comes out of this thing. So let's see if I can do a serviceable job of measuring the flour without it going everywhere. I usually end up with it all over my face, but I'm going to say done almost without a drop spilled. All right, so here's what you do. You'll combine the flour, the brown sugar, and the butter in a medium bowl, mix, and then you stir in the pecans, which is, I will admit, I have had a few in the preparation process. I love pecans.
No, I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
The author of this,
Brenda
might not like that I use the mixer, but I'm loving the way it's looking.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, maybe she was just doing it the traditional way, kind of not assuming that everybody has a mixer. But speaking of that, I do have a kitchen store of the items that Paul and I use in our kitchen. Yeah, and I'll put that in the drop-down menu below the video. So if there's anything you're missing that you feel you need or you like that what we have used, then it's easy to purchase right from that store. So I'll put the blender in there too, although I'm sure most kitchens have one, especially if you're a shopping channel watcher. Any of the In the Kitchen shows, it's very easy to get.
And by the way, the cutting boards we use, I love.
Oh yeah, those are great, and those are in the store as well.
And again, I have a big, heavy cutting board for like Thanksgiving, and yes, it's good because you can fit the whole turkey on it. It has little where the drippings go. Right. But for everyday cooking, love those cutting boards.
This is going to be an interesting experiment, and this is another thing that, as you said, the author Brenda had said in her recipe, that for the topping. So we're adding in the flour, the brown sugar, the butter, and then we mix that together and then add in the pecans. And it's 3/4 cup of pecans, or pecans, as they say in the South. I think there was actually an article, or probably a YouTube video, on what's the proper way to pronounce that word. And I didn't watch it because I just say it my way, and there it is. So anyway, she said the hardest part really, after we fill the pan with the basic filling, is topping it, because she said you want to try to evenly place it, and it's difficult to do. But as I'm seeing the consistency of this, it really is more of a powdery consistency than something that's too thick and difficult to put over the top, so it should be okay. She said it's the most difficult part of the recipe, but I end up just pretty much sprinkling it over the top. So that's what I wondered, is should I add the pecans to this mixture, or should I put this over it sprinkle it, and then add the pecans after.
I think that because, well, it's a good question, but because they're chopped,
it might be okay to just go ahead to put it in. Yeah, it might be actually. I'm just going to follow her recipe. Let's do it her way. So she says stir in the pecans and then spread the mixture over the top of the whole thing. So how do you know when that's done? If you're doing it in
I think it's done.
Okay.
I think you're going to be very pleased.
Really? Oh, I'm excited. As I say, I love sweet potato souffle. And especially when it had the brown sugar and the pecans as part of the ingredients, I thought, this is going to be like one of my favorites. And now we know how to make it ourselves. The one thing Paul and I were talking about, because we love to taste something at the end of creating a recipe, is we may not be able to taste it on camera because when it comes right out of the oven, we're not one of those prep kitchens that has done one that's waiting in the refrigerator to try. And then we're making one in front of you. It's we're just making one in front of you, and you're experimenting right along with us. So yeah, this isn't going to be too bad to spread over the top, Paul. I think we'll be okay.
Well, I think you're going to be very pleased.
All right, so this is all set for you. Let me get a few of these things sort of out of the way.
Would you like to show the inside of what we have?
Yes, just put it right there and show that camera. And it'll be fun too.
I had it in a mixer. That's one of the great things about that KitchenAid. I'm a big fan of them, whether it's making my mashed potatoes or anything. It just did all the work while I.
Why don't you pour it in?
Okay.
Yeah, that's great, because then it's really kind of showing everybody what we're supposed to expect.
Yes. So you're saying I was talking too much?
No, you're fine. You're always fine. You're a television host. That's what you do best.
It's so funny. One time they were having auditions for hosts. Remember?
May I help you?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's something you're not
so
seeing.
they were having auditions for hosts at QVC, and somebody was a newspaper journalist was going through the process so they could explain what it was like.
Okay, good job.
And so I was supposed to be coaching her to go through
the process,
selling a product. And then she went on for her audition to write about it. And she made it about 15 seconds in and she said,
I have nothing else to say.
I got nothing to say. She says, how do you do that? And I said, well, the secret isn't to get a host to talk. It's to get them to shut the hell up.
And did that end up in the article?
I don't know if it did. I didn't read it.
All right. I'm going to put this in front of you so you can kind of see what Brenda was talking about when she said this is sort of the difficult part. Well, not messy. It's just difficult because you're trying to evenly spread everything over the top of it. And it's not really spreadable, so you do the best that you can.
Because it'll melt in.
Because it'll all melt in, exactly.
And I love the smell of that brown sugar. I'm not going to.
I know, and I think you were right that we just follow the recipe and add the pecans when we did. The other thing we thought about doing was adding the pecans on top, which wouldn't be a bad idea because it would probably be very pretty when it came out of the oven. But we'll try it this way and just kind of see what happens.
And also, if you have picky eaters in your Thanksgiving table.
Oh, yeah, you could do half with pecans and half without.
Pecans, you know. I want chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Good point. You're going to have that person anyway.
Right.
Now, let me double check one more thing because she didn't say to cover, and that's always our biggest question is, do we cover it or do we not? So it says bake until mostly set in the center and golden on top about 30 minutes and then serve hot.
And also you want that brown sugar to caramelize.
So, but do we cover it for a while and then uncover it? Just leave it uncovered.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the verdict. Brenda, it wasn't in your recipe, so we're gonna put it in the oven, bake it for 30 minutes uncovered, and then we will do the big reveal. I just want to make sure all the cameras are working. Oh, this smells so good. I hope I didn't burn it too much.
No, just full disclosure. Let me show it over here.
Yeah, that'd be good. It looks.
What we like to do, and especially when we're doing our brie appetizer as well, is caramelize the sugar. So Well, you might have done it a little bit too long, but I still think it's going to be delicious.
Oh, yes. I really do think that I made the mistake. Paul said, I think we should take it out. And I said, I love to do the little broiling on the top, but because it was brown sugar and butter, it probably didn't need quite as long. Maybe even 30 seconds would have been
30
good.
seconds would be good.
Yeah. But sweet potato souffle, yum. And we're going to make it again in 2 weeks because my parents are coming. So now we know how to do it without the broiling on the top.
It's still going to be great.
It's still going to be great. Yeah, that was yummy. See you next time for In the Kitchen with Paul and Judy. Bon appetit.
Bye.
I can't wait to dig in. If it weren't so hot, I would
Wait,
definitely be taking
don't
a bite.
forget to stay for the outtakes.
Oh, there are plenty of them. Bye.
Bye.
Maybe a little
Okay.
too much. Okay. All right, so we're ready for the next step.
Are you gonna,
It's been 20 minutes. Oh, clap.
There's an outtake.
I'm leaving that out.
Okay.
Okay, so,
clapping?
oh yeah. I always forget to do that so that
Yeah.
I can sync up all the cameras. I think I forgot to start this one.
It started. It started.
Oh,
Did you turn my mic on?
yes.
Okay.
All right.
Clap again.
Whatever you want to do.
I can do this all day.
I do wish I could just put a little fork in there and just,
No, don't worry.
I'll burn my tongue.
Don't do it. And then it's going to sit out here. We're going to cook the salmon. We're going to put this in as our side dish.
Okay.